So, what have I been talking at my friends about recently? The new president-elect of Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum, the first woman elected to the office. Well, that's interesting, but why? She's Jewish. Yeah, you damn right. Now, most of my friends don't listen when I go off like this, but I catch one of them off guard from time to time, and they'll ask something like, "Oh, word? There are Jews in Mexico?" Yeah, you damn right there are. Mexico is one of the most Jewish countries, actually, with almost 100,000, which, almost 1% of the population. This is where my friends stop listening. But if you click this, you might have a thirst for Jewish knowledge that they do not. So, let's go. Crypto Jews, or conversos, started showing up in the Viceroyalty of New Spain almost immediately, being that at that time their options on the Iberian Peninsula were hide really good or get inquisitioned. There are records of soldiers being executed for suspected Judaism during the conquest of Mexico, but the Mexican Inquisition didn't get off the ground until 1571. After that, there were big purges of Jews until 1606 when it relaxed at the order of the king until, psych, Mexican Inquisition purges restart in 1642. So, yeah, you had to keep it super low or convert to Catholicism for real. After independence, the Inquisition was abolished and Jewish rituals were allowed, but Mexican Jews still didn't admit to being Jewish. There were a few openly Jewish people, but they were all late arrivals from Eastern Europe and were not allowed to become citizens. After this time deadass for real independence in 1867, after they kicked France to the curb, the census showed that there were only 20 openly Jewish families in the country. So, powering through now. Benito Juarez, the only indigenous president of Mexico, was into religious freedom, and he allowed Jews to become Mexican citizens, just in time for a bunch of Russian Jews to show up fleeing the pogroms over there in the 1880s. These Russian refugees are the ancestors of a huge portion of the current Jewish population of Mexico, the current openly Jewish population at least, up to 50%. World War I-ish, the breakup of the Ottoman Empire leads to a new wave of immigration. Interestingly, many of these Jews were Sephardic and had continued to speak Ladino, the Jewish Spanish Creole, even hundreds of years later. Because of that, tolerant Spanish-speaking Mexico was the place to go. Also, other potential immigration destinations like the U.S. were passing laws to limit the number of Jews allowed in, making Mexico an even more attractive destination. I should say, Jews were not particularly tolerated, just ignored. The rise of Protestantism was the big fear for Mexican conservatism, and a few thousand Jews coming in was just not worth anyone's time. Okay, 1930s. There were attempts to restrict Jewish and Chinese immigration. The Nazis were actually funding anti-Semitism and Nazi groups in Mexico, perhaps in the vain hope of getting a successful Zimmerman telegram situation off, but to no avail. However, these things did manage to get quotas implemented in 1937, so not many escapees ended up in Mexico, although 200 Jews did manage to get there via Cuba. Anyway, post-World War II, people went back to not caring, which was great. Mexican Jews were well integrated into society. I'm glossing over a lot of stuff, obviously, but one thing that I will mention in passing is the descendants of conversos, B'nai Anusim. These people are usually mostly unaware of their Jewish heritage. It's all very interesting, and I will make a video eventually, but for now, I just want to say I saw a study of random Mexican genetics, which seemed to indicate that about 5% of Mexico's overall population could be Anusim. Whoa. 1962. Sheinbaum is born. So, I'll keep it a bean. I really just wanted to use her as a jumping off point for talking about the Jews of Mexico. But that being said, I did. So, let's get into her life real quick. 1962. Born in Mexico City. Her dad was Ashkenazi, her mom was Sephardic, and they were both scientists.
Bueno, mi madre es una gran mamá, primero.
Bueno, que fui un poco estricta.
Un poquito. Es cierto. Eran las épocas.
Sí.
Estoy orgullosa de mi madre. El día de hoy se hizo público que es merecedora, a sus 82 años, del Premio Nacional de Ciencia por su investigación en bioquímica, en enfermedades del pulmón y también en investigación sobre envejecimiento, entre otras cosas.
She was raised secular, but when has that ever stopped us before? She studied physics. Awesome. She got a PhD in energy engineering. Awesomer. So she's a big brain doctor doing research, winning prizes, writing papers. Is that enough? Obviously not, or we probably wouldn't be talking about her. In 2000, she's tapped to be Secretary of the Environment of Mexico City by none other than AMLO, the 65th and current president of Mexico at the time of recording. She introduced the Metrobus rapid transit system to the city. Nice. This connection ended up being very important. He included her in his potential cabinet during his unsuccessful 2012 run for president, which was a shady election indeed for reasons we won't get into, and she believed in his movement. Leaving her political party, the PDR, to join AMLO's new one, Morena, in 2014. AMLO did end up winning in an astronomical landslide in 2018, for the record, making 2012 look shadier. So, 2015, mayor of a borough of Mexico City, she resigns to run for head of all of Mexico City in 2017, which pays off, as on July 1st, 2018, she is elected as head of government of Mexico City, becoming the first female and first Jewish person to hold the position. Double or nothing. In 2023, she resigns as head of government of Mexico City to run for president, which is also a great idea, as she wins with an even bigger landslide than AMLO. Now, I didn't talk about policy. Salute. 'Cause y'all are always crazy, and that isn't really what this is about. However, politics aside, I do want to mention her relationship with Judaism, and unfortunately, it is not much. I mentioned earlier that she was raised secular, and word, many people are, but she'll let you know that religion isn't important to her.
Crecí en realidad sin religión, así me educaron mis padres, pero evidentemente la cultura se trae en la sangre.
And you know what? There's good reason to downplay it. As I said earlier, Mexican society doesn't have some particular love of Jews. They just mostly don't care. Her being the first woman is way more important of an identity issue than her Judaism.
No llegó sola, llegamos todas, con nuestras heroínas que nos dieron patria, con nuestras ancestras, nuestras madres, nuestras hijas y nuestras nietas.
Some of her right-wing political opponents have already tried to weaponize her Judaism against her. Vicente Fox called her a foreign Jew, and there was like a birther type movement against her for a while. But obviously that didn't work, which is beautiful. Love you, Mexico. But I totally get why making being a part of a teeny tiny ethnic identity isn't great electoral politics. I've seen a bunch of American Jews and other people saying, oh, she should talk about it more. Stop it. Stop it. Let her live. So yeah. She rules. Sheinbaum. Awesome. I love her. I'm rooting for her. And I hope that ages great when she takes power in October. Salute.